Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Things Love. I'm your host, Kelly Garnett from Sacred Dating. And my guest today is Tom Bucsku. And he is let me read what he said, a coach and healer to overcome subconscious blocks, specifically in the area of dating and relationships. So, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Thank you. So, I always love to start with the one question about what do you believe that everyone or most people get wrong about love?
There's a lot. I know there's a lot that I got wrong about love in my life.
Me too.
The first thing that came to mind when you asked the question was thinking that love is something we find, something outside of ourselves. I spent my whole life, certainly my dating life, my marriage, trying to get love from another person, and ultimately, it our relationships can enhance that experience. It can give us a place to place our love, if you will. But we've got to find it within ourselves first.
Absolutely. Yeah, I believe that others activate the love, but they're not responsible for it.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah. So tell us about what you do. You work with men and women. Um, your site is Primal Divinity. Love
Primaldivinity.com. The idea is it reflects our dual nature. Right? We're human animals, and we're also higher spirits.
that. Having a human experience.
Exactly.
Nice. So what led you to this type of work?
Really, just my own journey navigating relationships. Um, but it's been a lifelong quest of mine to find those answers of what is love, how do I feel it, why are we here, all of those things. And I've been in the personal development world since I was 19 years old.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I was in college and I took the Dale Carnegie course in a room full of 40 something year old businessmen and women. And here I was, 19-year-old college kid. But it kind of gives you an idea of how I was even back then, always looking for more for myself.
hmm hmm
Part of it, I will say, was also driven by this feeling of not being good enough. So I was looking for ways to do that. Now my growth is fueled a little differently. It's just really to become the best version of myself so I can serve more.
Love that.
I forget what your question was. We got off on our first tangent already.
What led you to this type of coaching?
The dating and the relationships. Yeah. You know, it was coming out of my divorce and wanting to find something different. And I spent several years alone and not dating very intentionally. I
hmm
was all about my kids and making the best out of that, focusing on my growth, my business. Um, but then when I got to the point when I was ready to start reconnecting with women again and finding that next partner, I dove into what I had done wrong. And a lot of that was discovered in the masculine work that I did. There was a lot of men's groups that can help men step into their healthy masculine energy. And that's where it started for me. And there was some energy work involved in that, which expanded. And that's some of the healing work that I do aside from the coaching. And I just found that I learned so much that friends and men in those groups started to come to me to say, "Hey, here's a situation that's going on," or "How do I meet this person?" or "This is the problem in the relationship." And I found that I had some answers for them, and it just kept going like that until I decided, you know what, this is really great stuff. I love talking about it. I love reading about it. I love being a part of it in my own life. And so it's like a great way for me to just share some of my gifts.
Totally resonate. Yep. I mean, almost verbatim, obviously different path, but when I was in my 20s, same thing. It was like this can't be the journey that I'm going to go on with, the drama and trauma and all the things that are, chaos in my life. And I had a good upbringing. It wasn't, terrible, but the way that I was relating to it wasn't working for me. And so I too went and sought more than that because I knew I could play a bigger game out there and I wanted to. I was really committed to that. And then it was after an ending of a relationship that I was like, I need to do things differently with this. And wow, it's been so much fun. And the more I speak about it, the more I'm like, wow, those were some really good suggestions. And where was this version of me in my 20s and 30s?
Yeah, well, we can all lament on, what we
Yeah,
didn't know back then.
hindsight for sure. Yeah, and I definitely would love to support. I particularly work with women and want them to experience dating in a far more, especially with the landscape of dating right now. Holy cow, what is so I love this because you seem to gravitate towards men, that you work with women as well, and I work with men as well, but I gravitate more towards the women. And so I'd love to hear for the ladies, what is the viewpoint, the landscape from the men's perspective in the men that you've been working with?
Yeah, it's a tough landscape to navigate for both sexes. And I mean, I can tell you it's not easy for men trying to find somebody. And it's not easy for women either. I don't know who's got it harder. I know I wouldn't want to be a woman right now trying to navigate what's out there. Uh, it's and you're right. I work primarily with men, I would say. I'm happy to work with women when it feels right and feels aligned. But for me, I really believe that men have to go first, right? Masculine energy is about leading, and that's what the feminine energy wants. And so I believe the solutions lies with us. And some men aren't going to want to hear that, and some women are going to be like, yeah, get those men straightened out. But I hear so many complaints from women of men who aren't taking the lead in any part of the process, from initiating a conversation to reaching out online to getting off an app and onto a date, planning a date and executing and letting the woman just soften and relax, and which is what I hear over and over again what women want from the men that they're trying to meet. And so
Right.
that's what I work with the men mostly to do, is to start owning their strength as a man, step into the leadership. Don't be so afraid of getting things wrong. And that was one of my things that held me back forever. It's, I do something wrong. Well, I'm unworthy and I can't do anything right. And all the shame and the guilt starts piling on, which is underneath all of this. But the,
Right.
the fun part is working with the men of, here's how you reach out in a respectful way. Here's how you approach somebody in the real world. Because that's the first step, right? Is meeting somebody, and then
Yeah.
how to lead from there.
Yeah. What like I'd love to get into their brain. So what's stopping them from stepping into their masculine or leading? Like what is their hesitation, their fear? What is that?
That actually can get into a deep conversation, because it's a societal problem, I believe, and uh, it's that we weren't taught to do this as men growing up as boys. We weren't taught what a healthy masculine leadership looks like. Our fathers often didn't know, or we were modeled some toxic version of masculinity, of the domineering, do as I tell you, or the stoic rock who can't open up and express any emotion besides anger. And so many of us have some version of that experience. And
Mhm.
so I want to say it's not our fault, but it's our responsibility to make the change.
Yeah. Wow.
So to answer your question of what's going through our minds, and I have to kind of rewind myself a little bit, because I've started to overcome this, and I say started because I don't think the journey ever ends. But it, we are so afraid of getting it wrong. We
Mm.
were given this message starting maybe in the 70s with the feminist movement of being a man is just wrong. Like, that was a message that I grew up with in the 70s. And it's a shame, because it's not wrong. That unhealthy, toxic masculinity is not what we want. But
Yeah.
we need strong masculine leadership.
Yeah. It's so interesting because my partner and I have discussions about this, and he's so acutely aware of the messaging even today of, you know, there was a campaign, I forget what it was, but it was a whole brand that had these little cartoon characters on t-shirts and mugs and all the things, and it was boys are dumb, throw rocks at them. And I thought that was hysterical when I saw that. And now, having done some work and being in this relationship, I'm just so acutely aware of how belittling we are of men, and stemming from the feminist movement and then the Me Too movement, which wasn't that long ago, really has done a number, I think, current day on how men navigate dating, showing up, relationships. Like, I feel like that in particular kind of pushed them up against a wall and they don't know where to go from here.
Right, because what we hear is we want women saying we want you to approach us. I
Yeah,
will talk to women and they say that. It's like, the more beautiful a woman, the less she gets approached because men are intimidated. But
right.
there's also this fear of, am I going to be perceived wrong? Am I going to be, perceived as creepy or inappropriate?
Mhm.
And again, you hear those stories over and over again. So it's like we live with this constant fear, I want to say,
Yes.
of, I desire this. I'm attracted to her. I want to meet her. I want to take it to the next level. But it's been hammered into us that you've got to be so careful about it.
Yeah. Really tiptoe. And what I'm seeing on the other end from a lot of women is they're not willing to tolerate this lack of effort they're calling on the men's part, and the ones that aren't stepping into their masculine selves. And my concern about that, yes, definitely have strong boundaries, definitely know your value and your worth. I wish I had 20 years ago to the degree that I do now. But is that then gone too far to the other end of the spectrum? And you're now blocking the possibility because we all are humans and we're all navigating this journey to the best that we can. Some of us doing better than others, but it can be messy. And so I don't know if you have any suggestions, like what do you, if you've met with women or on the men's perspective, like how are they feeling about this, since it almost feels like entitlement. And I love women, I don't, I, again, I totally support them standing strong in who they are and what they expect, but I also fear they're too in their ego. And we're talking about love. Love is not egoic or entitled. So I don't know if you have men that you've worked with who are like, I don't know, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, a lot of them don't know what to do with it, and I've spoken to a lot of women about this,
Yeah.
and like I said, I can't imagine how hard it is being a woman. Where you get everything that I've said, where men are afraid to approach and take the lead and move things to the next level, combined with the guys that send pictures or suggestive messages way too early, and it's very clear they're just playing a numbers game. If I ask 100 women, do you want to just sleep with me right now? They're hoping they'll get one. So you're getting inundated with that, but then the men that you really want to meet are afraid to reach out because of that. So it's a real challenge, and the what women can do. It's hard because you've got to set those boundaries. You've got to block
Yeah.
all of that nonsense.
Right.
Are you familiar with the burned haystack method?
No.
I can't remember the woman who created it. This is for women. It's called the burned haystack, and the idea behind it is how do you find a needle in a haystack? How do you find the
Right.
one good man out of the thousands? Well, the easiest way is you burn the haystack, and then what's left is the needle. And so you do that metaphorically by blocking all the guys who don't measure up. If they send something that's inappropriate, blocked, gone. There goes some of the hay, right? You talk to a guy who's bragging instead of inquiring. And this is something I teach the men: is you're not putting on a performance. You're not trying to win them over. Get curious, ask questions, you show your interest in her. right? But you get the ones who don't do that, you block them, you burn the haystack a little bit, and eventually you whittle it down and you find your needle.
Mm,
But the challenge in that whole thing is that you can go too far, and if a guy makes a genuine mistake of just being a human being and saying something wrong, block it, burn it, he's gone, he's out. And
yeah.
maybe you just missed a really good chance for something special.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. I find too that and maybe men too, but I communicated with some women and clients who want to go from messaging on the app to a date. Do you have any suggestions about that? Because for me, if you don't do the phone call in between, at least a phone call, if not a video chat of some sort, I feel like you're skipping a whole step because again, that's where the humanness can come through, the vulnerability can come through. If they've done something, you've already connected in some fashion, voice to voice. It's very different than 2D. 3D connection is so different than the 2D connection.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts about that?
very different. And you can feel somebody's energy even through a phone call or a video
Yeah,
call that you
yeah,
can't feel through text messages. And
exactly.
I've been on plenty of first dates where I walk into the room and within a second you're like, ah, like the energy just isn't there. And it's not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just not your match.
Yeah,
But
just not a
it
match.
seemed good. It seemed
Yeah,
good enough that you wanted to meet. So I've stopped going from messaging to dates. Maybe if somebody's super local and you both know the coffee place or whatever, no
yeah,
big deal. You haven't,
yeah,
but I'm not driving half an hour, or any longer for somebody that I haven't had a conversation with.
yeah,
And so I actually tell my men, do a phone call first prior to my let's say last 6 months of actually putting all this into work myself. I would have said go for the date if they're up for it. And again, if the circumstances are right, maybe you do that. And I have done that recently. But again, it's if it's easy and local and it feels natural. But for the most part, you want to get to know someone energetically, and that's the best
yeah.
way I know how to describe it. And you can't fake that. As soon whether it's as soon as you walk in the room or even 5 minutes into a phone call, if this is somebody that you can vibe with.
Yeah, I'd much rather know that right out of the gates. And with Zoom, it has the filter, so you don't have to get fully done up. But
I'm in
um,
my pajama pants right now, Kelly.
usually I am too. But I'm heading to a networking event after this, so I'm dressed up. But I wear a nice top, obviously. And I love that. I'm not gonna lie. But um, when when we go, yeah, from the 2D to the 3D, I went on a date once and we did have a phone call, but when I saw him, he was a good 50, 60 pounds overweight compared to his photos. And so that was kind of like, oh, very sweet guy. And we were going to the Donna Summer concert. It was at the Hollywood Bowl, my first time going to the Hollywood Bowl. So, it was still a good time. But had I been out in the real world and felt discomfort. I don't want to spend a bunch of time over dinner. And this is another thing is these women want to go from messaging to a fancy dinner. And I don't even know if there's going to be a vibe. And I don't certainly want to sit there for 3 hours, 2 hours, whatever, having dinner with someone that it's like, no, this is not a match. Now we can go in and make it whatever we want to make it, right? Even if it's not a match, you can, who knows what's possible. Like this could be a new friend. This could be somebody who gives you advice about finances. Who knows? But I'd rather know before the date, before getting all dressed up and going out, if this is even something I want to move forward with.
Yeah, and that's the big difference with how we date now versus how we used to, because we used to meet people in real life. You already know
Exactly.
what they actually look like, not five
Exactly.
years ago. You already get a feel for their energy. And I think about all the women that I dated back in my 20s, early 30s. I met them
Yeah.
either at a bar or through
Yep.
friends at a party. So you
Right.
already know who they are to some degree. So when you have a
Yep.
date, it's like, oh, I already like you. Yes, we want to spend 3 hours together. Like,
Yeah. We already vibe.
now it's like they're kind of all blind dates.
Yeah, they
Right?
are.
I mean, you get a picture, you get some texts, you know, you should be doing a phone call at this point, is what I tell people.
Me too.
But even that, you haven't seen them, you haven't felt their energy in person. And so I tell my men that I work with, like I do not do dinner for a first date. And I know other guys that do it very different. They're like, yeah, you want to impress a woman, you go to the $100 dinner, they really appreciate it, they don't get it a lot. If that's your thing and you want to do that, fine. But
Yeah.
I start with coffee almost all the time, and I call it a zero date. It's not even a first date, right? It's that let's meet for 45 minutes, feel each other out, have a cup of coffee. If it's bad, the worst thing that happens is I had a cup of coffee and
Yeah.
we part ways. If it's
Exactly.
good, you can linger in a coffee shop for hours and talk and connect and get to know each other, or take it and go for a walk from
And then
there.
go on it. Yeah, that's what my boyfriend and I did. We then went to the beach. We went for coffee and then we walked down to the beach and hung out there and it was amazing.
Right. And if it's not going well, you don't do the walk on the beach. So you saved yourself a couple of hours.
Yeah. Like, because half an hour having coffee is all you need. And
It,
it's
it,
perfect.
it's all you need to know if you want to have another hour.
I mean, really, it could be less, but
Yeah.
to be fair, all the time, got there. And then you go meet up with friends. If you're all done up, then plan to go meet up with friends
There you
afterwards so you
go.
don't waste the beauty and the
Have a
work.
backup plan. 100%.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that you call it a zero date. I had a zero date once, and I thought that was so brilliant when he said, okay, listen, we're going to meet at this coffee shop. This is not a date. This is to find out if we want to go on a date. And I was like,
Yes.
wow. One of the things that's my favorite thing about that is how clear he was with me about it. There was no games. He was very clear that this is his process and either I can accept it or not. And I was like, oh, okay, yes, I will do
There,
that.
that's a great example of masculine leadership that I was talking
Yes.
about earlier. It's like, this is my process. I'm going to invite you into it. And here's clear communication. Here's expectations. Here's what's not going to happen.
Uh,
Where we need to go.
clarity from a man is gold, such gold. Whether I align with it or not, it's so beautiful to have a
And
man that speaks clearly.
I tell the guys the same things that, and I would say this to any woman listening too, is be authentic,
Yes.
express what you really want. Like,
Yes.
if you're looking for a one night stand, be honest about that.
Please tell us.
Like, don't pretend you want a relationship and string me along and then sleep with me and then leave. You may have gotten what you wanted, but you can more easily get what you want if you're honest and open about it. Because there's
Yeah.
women out there that want that,
Yeah.
and, it's going to save you a lot of time and effort on both sides. And if you want to take things slow, or if you're like, hey, I'm ready. I've had women ask me, "Are you looking for a relationship?" Right on the apps. Which, this is a tip for the ladies out there. Like, any guy is looking for a relationship with the right woman. But if you ask me, am I looking for a relationship? My answer is going to be, I don't know. I'm open to it for the right person, but I'm not in a hurry to get there. And that's kind of where I am if I'm in between partners. Like, I'm open. And when you meet the right person as a man, you're going to be ready. You're going to be ready for the relationship. And if you're not in one, it's because it's not a fit, or you're just not in that place.
So what is it that has most men kind of go, "Erk," when if we were to ask directly, are you really looking for a relationship? Is it just too much too soon or
Yeah, essentially, it's going to be too much too soon because,
okay.
again, like, we want love and connection and depth and intimacy and partnership. We want all of that. But if you're coming at me with that, it's like, whoa,
Slow your roll.
let's have the cup of coffee first. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. It's kind of the unfavorable picture right out of the gates from the women's side.
Yeah, and I understand why it happens, because you've had women who have, let's say, they've been through that process where the guy isn't upfront and
Yeah.
open about not being ready, or he just
Yeah.
wants to be casual, and she feels like she's wasted time because she does want something. So I get why you would want to ask that question, but
Hmm.
it's a big turnoff. Even if you're into her, too much too soon is a turnoff.
Yeah. Well, same with us. It's love bombing on some
Yeah.
level. And I get that. It is too much. And really in those moments, it's about going inward and navigating your own nervous system or your own inner child, because that's the one that's really like desperately wanting to know, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to be keep doing this. I want to be in a relationship, but we have to breathe and know that it is partly divine timing. It is going to be what it's going to be, whether, again, it could be somebody that you meet that has a friend, a cousin who might be a better fit for you, or it could be someone that you realize, nope, this isn't what I want, the contradiction of what you want to be experiencing in a relationship. So it's okay to, and for me, the biggest thing I'm promoting right now is pace yourselves. We don't need to go from 0 to 100 in 2.2 seconds with the constant texting and all the expectations of connect, connect, connect. Like, breathe, get to know somebody, take
Yeah.
your time, and keep dating until you guys decide, nope, this is it.
That's right. Yeah, and that's one of the complaints I've heard from women is that even before they've had a first date, they'll have a guy be like, "Well, here's what happened today," or "Look at the picture of my kid doing something that you might send to a girlfriend," because he's trying to get to that place. He's not saying it, but he wants to be there, and that's the love bomb. That's presuming way too much too soon. Uh,
Yeah,
let the relationship unfold organically. And
exactly.
that may take some restraint because when you're really into somebody, yeah, you want to connect all the time. But you know what? Attraction grows in space.
Yes. Oh, I love that. It really does. If you think about it, maybe have the mindset of, okay, before smartphones, what did we do? We didn't text. We didn't have that. We just talked on the phone, and it wasn't every single day.
Right.
If somebody called you every single day right after your first date, you'd be like, "Whoa, this is too much." So it's
Yeah.
the same
But
thing
we'll
with the
but we'll
texting.
receive the texts because
Yeah,
that's what people
exactly.
expect. Instant gratification.
Yes. And that's another challenge that people are facing is this instant gratification and needing it, especially the younger generations who that's what they grew up in, especially with the tech being all about instant gratification. You want to watch a movie, we had to wait for it to come out on video after it was in the movie theaters.
And drive to
Now, boom.
Blockbuster and wait in line and they're sold out.
Yes,
And
yes, exactly.
now you pull up your
Good
smartphone
old
and watch
days.
it in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, Prime has videos that are of movies that are out in the theater now that you can rent without even having to leave your house. So there's just that instant gratification has become so prevalent in our society, and it cannot be that way in dating. Sometimes it can, sometimes it works with the instant, and we never spend another day apart. Like, yes, that does happen. And I can admit I was guilty of wanting, like, boom, I want that fairy tale ending. I want that we met and it was instant and we're together happily ever after. But that's not reality, and nor is it necessarily the healthiest path.
Yeah.
But we're all on our own journey anyway. So that worked for your friend over here, but that doesn't mean that that's going to work for you. So it's okay. It's okay to let
Right.
that grow over time and take your time and keep yourself busy in the meantime.
Yeah, and you had touched on something I don't want to gloss over. You'd mentioned, that inner child and that nervous system regulation, and these are the key things that I believe, maybe not so much in getting a date, but in continuing to date, building a relationship, working with all that deep inner work, because those wounds, those traumas, those triggers, they're going to come up in relationship. Some people will tell you that's the whole point of a relationship is to reveal the places you still need healing. And I know that was true in my last relationship because I told you I've been in personal development forever.
Yep.
I coach, and I went into my last relationship saying, well, I'm pretty good. I'm embodying all this stuff. A little bit cocky, I got to admit, but I had done a lot of work, and so much was revealed to me being in that first deep relationship post divorce that as I look back, say from a year ago, I'm just like, wow, and I'm that much better of a person and a future partner right now, but it's because all of those things came up that that little boy inside who was hiding in a corner and didn't want to be seen. And yeah, that's stuff
I
that's stuff for us to work on.
You're telling my life story here, Tom, because it's the exact same thing. I was like, I got this. I've been doing so much work on myself. I am so ready to have the most amazing, powerful relationship of my life. And then, boom, relational intelligence is a whole other beast, for lack of a better word. And that needed some work for sure. And so it's definitely been a journey in my relationship to get to, and what I'm witnessing for myself is how resilient I am and how much chutzpah I have, or grit. I didn't know I had so much grit. And I've had so much grit. Like, okay, I fell down here. Let me get back up and keep going. And, he's been really amazed because it has been definitely a journey of learning and awarenesses and growing, which, yeah, that's what I wanted. I want to be in a
Right.
relationship where we're growing and evolving for sure, but I didn't expect it to go down like this. Whew.
You got what you asked for, Kelly.
Oh my. And then some. So this has been amazing. I would love to have you on again because I feel like we could keep talking forever. Um, I also like to end with, what has love taught you about yourself?
Hmm. I would say you talk about grit and strength, and I would say the same thing about myself, is that I found myself stronger than I thought I was. And that's through love, through relationship, through breakup, through all of it. And that I'm okay being alone, and not just okay, but that I can thrive, right? That I don't need that external source. I don't need that validation from somewhere else. I got to a moment maybe 2 years ago where I was spreading my mom's ashes in the Caribbean with my siblings, and we had a day on an island, and I wandered off by myself and sat down on the beach at the edge of the sea, and just came completely at peace with this idea of, I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. And it wasn't a woe is me. It was a, yeah, you know what? I'm perfectly fine like this, and I have a mission to achieve or spread the word, and my gifts to give. And that's what this life is all about. And when you get to that place and you actually open up to real authentic love and connection, and then when that goes away, you're back in that place of, oh my God, I relying on this person to fuel me. And to know that even when that is taken away, you are love. You don't have to go find it. You don't have to get it. You don't have to earn it. You are love. That's what I've learned about myself, and it's what I want to share with the world.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's our true nature, is love, and one of the highest vibrations. And that's where I came to sacred dating. I was like, I'm not honoring my heart and my love as sacred. So treating it that way and showing up in dating in that way completely shifted the journey for me. So I love that. I love, we're kind of saying the same thing. You focusing more on men and me focusing more on the women. I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're very much in alignment.
Yeah, definitely. High five to that. Okay, so your website is www.primaldivinity, right? .com.
Primaldivinity.com. And there's dating programs for men. There's the healing work, the nervous system work, the energy, Kundalini, Reiki, I have
Oh,
a method called Release and Rewire, where we let go of these stuck traumatic emotions in our body and in our energy field, and rewire the limiting beliefs that are holding us back.
mm,
It's transformative. You can
beautiful.
find all that, and all my socials are on there. Primal
Okay,
Divinity.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tom. This has been amazing. And for those of you who are interested, also it'll be in the note section, and we look forward to seeing you next time. And, and oh no, not in that. I want to end the recording. Stop.